Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be, and of course, however you may be listening. Well, folks, the Iowa Hawkeyes have officially won their, out-of-conference basketball tournament, defeating the Grand Canyon Antelopes 59-46. It's pronounced Acrisure, classic. And where do I begin? I mean, I think the biggest thing for me, and I've said this already several times in my post-game videos, the number one thing that has stuck out to me when evaluating this team compared to Fran McCaffrey's teams over the past 5 years is the consistent effort and competitiveness that we see from this Iowa men's basketball team. You can tell that these players have won a lot of games. They've been in a lot of games. They really don't get rattled. They continue to compete, get after it. I mean, there's a big difference between playing hard and competing. Competing is playing hard, but doing things that help you win games. And I mean, I can just think of so many plays in this game, in the game against Ole Miss, that multiple players did in order to win the game. Ben McCollum was asked in his post-game, interview, kind of like what goes into winning a game like the game against Ole Miss. And his response was that, number one, experience helps you, but that the work happens before the season. You don't just win these games by, sheer talent and by just stepping onto the floor. The work happens before the season begins. And I want to bring that up because when I'm watching this Iowa men's basketball team, that is just so evident that the work, was done. They put in the time, they put in the effort, and what I'm seeing on the floor, the tenacity, the grit, the excitement, the toughness, the attitude in a good way, can only be forged before the season begins. That's when it happens. And I expected this to some degree based off of some of the highlights that we had seen from Iowa's, preseason basketball games. What I had heard from Iowa's secret scrimmages against St. Louis and Texas Tech, I believe it was. I can't remember if Iowa played one more, but I believe for sure that it was those two. I know it was St. Louis. I think it was Texas Tech as well. They were playing with grit, and the practices were hard. They were getting after it. And on top of that, Trey Thompson, 4-star small forward who had offers from pretty much everybody, Purdue, Tennessee, who reclassified to play for Iowa. He also talked about how, and I recently saw this video, he talked about how the biggest difference in why he chose Iowa was when he went on his visit and he went and watched their practice. Everybody was smiling. They were playing hard. They were competing. And he said that wasn't how it always was on every single visit he went to. It was kind of this, melancholy and way too serious. And he commented on how basketball is supposed to be fun. And I agree. There's a perfect balance of playing hard, competing, but also having fun and enjoyment from competing and playing hard. No means was this Iowa's best offensive performance. This was a, knuckle down, drag out fight. I believe how the saying goes, two games in 2 days. And Iowa did what they needed to do to get the victory. If you were unable to watch the game, and this occurred against Ole Miss, and if you decide to watch the highlights, you'll see it in the highlights too. Iowa went multiple times where they held Grand Canyon to 0 points across multiple minutes. To start the second half, I don't believe Grand Canyon scored a point for 5+ minutes. I think it was 6 minutes. They may have scored one free throw, but I believe it was 0 points. And even if it was 1 point, like still, that is really good. And that's how you win games like this. This is how you win tough games like this. And the thing is like the old school Fran McCaffrey teams might have been able to do this. But the last 5 years, Fran McCaffrey teams, they would not have won this game. They would have only won this game if they came out hot, if somebody had a massive game and scored, 30 points, like a Keegan Murray, Chris Murray, Luka Garza, or the whole team was on fire. Otherwise, they would not have won this game. They definitely would not have won the game against Ole Miss. And so this is the biggest thing that I've seen, and I'm really excited about this team. They're now 7-0 on the season. They haven't played the most difficult schedule. This is going to be a really telling stretch for them as they have multiple quad one victory opportunities coming up. I think they have 3 or 4. This is a quad 2 victory. So Iowa now has 1 quad 1 victory, 2 quad 2 victories, and 1 quad 3 victory, which is not a bad resume. So before this victory, they were 60th in the net and, top 25 in all the efficiency ratings. So I'm really excited about this Iowa men's basketball team. They play hard. They're way more athletic than people give them credit for. Again, you can tell that they have winners on their team. They have an NBA first-round talent in Bennett Sturts. And I think that this team may be able to go even higher. I know there's a lot of basketball to be played. Depending on the development of Cooper Koch, Cam Manyow, and Isaiah Howard, maybe Cale Combs too. Some of those a little bit more unknown younger guys that have a little bit of extra to them that gives them the ability to do this. Now, don't get me wrong, Tavion Banks is a good player, but I think he probably is what he is at this point in his career. Obviously, the more that Iowa can get Alvaro Fogueres going, the better. But if fans, and including myself, were to be told before the season that Brendan Housen, you wouldn't know why or how or whatever the circumstance is, but if you were told before the first game began that Brendan Housen was going to be like the 9th or 10th man on the roster, actually not even that. If you were to just be told the stats that he has, not the minutes that he plays, but just the stats, I think most Iowa fans would think that this season quite possibly was a disaster or would be a disaster, because he was a big name that got picked up. And I think he is the perfect representation of, and I'm not like against him being paid or anything like that. Iowa needed to go get depth, and he was a talented piece that they could get. But I think he is the perfect representation of a guy that would have played a lot in Fran McCaffrey's system over the last 5 years. But because of how Ben McCullum plays and the importance that he places on defense, every single guy being able to defend, play hard, and do what he needs to do, as well as, give at least something offensively. he's not playing, and he's not playing a lot. He's the only time he plays is very situationally based. So he's probably the prime example of the difference between Fran McCaffrey and Drake. Really quickly, some stats. Cam Manyow had 7 points, 3 rebounds. Cooper Koch had 11.6 rebounds. He's really developing nicely. He's rebounding hard. The size is excellent. He's playing, the added muscle is helping him a lot. He's getting down there. He's rebounding. He's playing physical. This is exactly what Iowa needed. They weren't sure that they had, and now that they do have, it really opens up a lot for this Iowa men's basketball team and for the future, because he's only a redshirt freshman. So Bennett Sturts had 13 points, 5 assists, and 2 rebounds. Not as big of a night, scoring the basketball, but he still played really solid. Grand Canyon really keyed in on him. And, listen, guys, he's a hell of a player. He's an Iron Man. He's in great shape. But make no mistake, even the most in shape guy, it's a lot on you to play 80 minutes in 2 days. Like, that's a lot of wear and tear. So I really, I just pray to God that he's able to stay healthy. Cale Combs played 36 minutes, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He hit some good shots, tough shots, and he just really adds a nice cooling head ball handler out there for Iowa. Tavion Banks had 2 points, 2 rebounds in 20 minutes. Wasn't the best tournament for him. He is limited because of his shooting. His shooting's not poor, and Ben McCollum says that he believes in him and believes he's a good shooter. And in the games before, he has shown that he can knock down outside shots. But he's in his head right now, and Ole Miss was daring him to shoot. And the thing is you just have to step into it and have the confidence to knock down the shot. And if you miss it, so what? It's a good shot. You can knock it down, and so be it. So hopefully, Iowa is able to get that sorted out, because Iowa really needs him to step up. Tate Sage, 4 minutes. Isaiah Howard, 30 minutes, 19.6 rebounds. He had a hell of a game, just all over the place. He had a putback dunk that was just unreal. Him and Cale Combs had some rebounds that were just massive rebounds for guards. Again, a massive difference between Ben McCollum and Fran McCaffrey. Like, this is how you win the rebounding battle when you don't have the biggest team in the world. And as I always said, everybody talked about size and athleticism. I always said under Fran McCaffrey that most of rebounding is desire, that you want it more than the other player. And that's it. Iowa had a really short bench today. Nobody else saw significant minutes. They went 1, 2, 3. They went 8 deep today. So team stats, let's see here. And Iowa won both halves. Iowa shot 40.4%. They held Grand Canyon to 40.5%. Obviously not the best, but it's not really surprising given the context of this game, playing 2 games in 2 days. It's a championship game. It's a hard-fought game. Talent all over the floor. 3-point percentage, 32% for Iowa, 29% for Grand Canyon. Iowa shot 15 of 22 for 68% from the free throw line. This is the first game where they haven't shot above 70%. I always say you have to at least shoot above 68%, preferably at least 70%. So Iowa just hit it, but even still, like I said, preferably you shoot at least 70%. Thus far, that hasn't been a big issue for Iowa. Some of their best shooters just unfortunately weren't as accurate in this game. Probably their legs really tired. Iowa won the rebounding battle 27-22. Didn't have a ton of offensive rebound. Well, actually, disregard, they had 8 compared to Grand Canyon's 3. 19 defensive rebounds apiece for both teams, 11-8 for assists in favor of Iowa, blocks 2-4 in favor of Grand Canyon. Again, Iowa's not a big shot blocking team. I think the best chance that they have for that is Cam Manyao developing more of a shot blocking ability. Steals 7-4 in favor of Iowa, turnovers 10-17. Iowa had the 10 and forced Grand Canyon to 17 turnovers. Points in the paint, 22 apiece. And that's it. All right, guys. Great news. This was excellent. This was a huge first test for Iowa, and they have passed it with flying colors. Was it perfect? No, but it was really good in so many ways. Iowa is now 20th in the KenPom ratings. They're 26th in offensive efficiency and 25th in defensive efficiency. When was the last time that Iowa had a top 50 defensive efficiency team? I mean, this is just music to my ears. This is just beautiful glory, the whole 9 yards. Now, their offensive efficiency did go down a little bit, especially with this specific game against Grand Canyon. But I'm going to attribute a lot of that to the fact that they played 2 games in 2 days. So we'll see how that goes. You know, again, like I said, offensively, it wasn't perfect, but still, you have to find a way to win regardless, which Iowa did. All right, guys. Off the net rankings have been updated yet, but Iowa's RPI is 40th. I think they will move up at least 1 or 2 spots with this victory. Like I said, they are 1-0 in quad 1, 2-0 in quad 2, and 1-0 in quad 3, and 3-0 in quad 4, with multiple quad 1 games on the horizon against Michigan State, Maryland, and Iowa State. Those are all quad 1 games. So huge test coming up. It's going to be on the road against Michigan State, at home against Maryland, and on the road against Iowa State. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for winning. Thank you guys so much for watching. The Iowa Hawkeyes win the 2025 Acrisure Classic, defeating Ole Miss and Grand Canyon. Great victories. This Iowa team is super fun. They compete well. They get after it. Defensively, they get after it. And I can't wait to see what they look like as the season goes on. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy, Willow. And facts or feelings, because your feelings just matter. Love you, Hawk fans. See you guys next time. Iowa wins 59-46 over Grand Canyon and 74-69 over Ole Miss. See you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.